flag.
You already proved me right. You already proved me right.
I know.
Good morning. The meeting will come to order. Welcome to a special June 28, 2023 rescheduled meeting of the Budget and Appropriation Committee. I am Supervisor Connie, Chair of the committee. I am joined by Supervisors Asha Safai and Shimon Walton. Our clerk is Brent Halipa, and I would like to thank Michael Baltazar from SFGov TV for broadcasting this meeting. Mr. Clerk, do you have any announcement?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a friendly reminder for those in attendance to please make sure to silence all cell phones and electronic devices so as not to interrupt our proceedings here in the chamber. The Board of Supervisors and its committees are convening hybrid meetings that allow in-person attendance and public comment while still providing remote access and public comment via telephone. Public comment will be held on one item on this agenda. Those attending in person will be allowed to speak first, and then we will take those who are waiting on telephone line. For those watching remotely and streaming through sfgovtv.org, the public comment call-in number is streaming across the screen, and when connected, you will hear the meeting discussions, but you'll be muted and in listening mode only. When public comment is called, those joining us in person should line up to speak, and those on telephone should dial *3 to be added to the speaker line. If you're on your telephone, please remember to turn down your TV and all listening devices you may be using, and each speaker will be allowed up to 2 minutes to speak unless otherwise stated. Alternatively, you may submit public comment in writing in either of the following ways. Email them to myself, the Budget and Appropriations Committee Clerk, at brent.jalipa@sfgov.org. If you submit public comment via email, it will be forwarded to the supervisors and also included as part of the official file. You may also send your written comments via U.S. Postal Service to our office in City Hall. That's 1 Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place, room 244, San Francisco, California, 94102. And thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And we would like to call item number 1.
Yes, item number 1 is an ordinance appropriating $50 million from or of general fund general reserves to be appropriated to the Human Rights Commission to establish the Office of Reparations and to implement approved recommendations in fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Members of the public wish to speak on this item and have joined us remotely. Press *3 if you wish to enter the speaker line. Please continue to wait until the system indicates you have been unmuted, and that'll be your signal to begin your comments. Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Supervisor Walton, would you like to make opening remarks?
Thank you so much, Chair Chan. I'll be semi-brief, but I just want to remind everyone on March 14th, this Board of Supervisors unanimously approved the resolution to accept the draft report of the African American Reparations and Advisory Committee, also known as the Reparations Task Force. Also at the very same meeting, the Board of Supervisors unanimously committed to supporting reparations because of the harms done to Black people here in San Francisco. I want to thank all the task force members, the Human Rights Commission under the direction of Dr. Cheryl Davis and Brittany Chiquata, and the entire community for the continued support of this work. I also want to send major thanks to the entire Board of Supervisors for their support and commitment to reparations. And to this committee, thank you for continuing this important item to be heard today. I wanted to be sure that this was included in the final budget submitted to the mayor, and I'm glad we have an opportunity to engage on this ever so important funding for reparations and fully staff the office, provide administrative and fiscal support to continue to work, provide resources to research individuals who will qualify per the committee's final recommendations, for programming to continue to work with the task force that will sunset in a few months, and constantly approve recommendations. This work is important, and the creation of an Office of Reparations to start the important work is something that is extremely important to community, to my colleagues, and it is important for the betterment of this city. As of now, we're continuing to work together on locating the resources for my previously stated purposes. So I wish to make a motion to continue this item to the call of the chair.
Second, and thank you so much, Supervisor Hilton. And I just really want to say on the record that I think that the Black community as well as just community of color all San Francisco should be supported to have as our elected leader, but also the only Black elected member on the Board of Supervisors. We're grateful to have your support truly. And I think that just right before there's arrival of Supervisor Safai, I think that we talk about how hard it is to sort of be the only elected member on the Board of Supervisors to carry your community that is so diverse in their thinking, in their way of living, and all sorts, and have to like carry that burden. Is like so. It's not just intellectually difficult at times in so many spaces when policy discussions have to think about so many people, but also emotionally. I think that it's like to stay strong, to see you have fought for your people and your community is amazing, and exemplary leadership that I look up to, and I appreciate all that you have done. It's not just for the Black community, but for all the communities of color and the next generation of young leader to see this is how you fight for your community. And for that, I really am grateful.
Thank you.
Supervisor Safai.
Thank you. I too want to thank Supervisor Walton. I know at times, I can only imagine from the work that you've put in terms of your entire career, how frustrating some of this can be. And I just want to say I appreciate the way that you've handled yourself in these conversations. I appreciate your leadership and also educating folks. I mean, you put forward a conversation before many other people were willing to have it. And at times it can be uncomfortable, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, particularly those that are descendants of that legacy of institutional racism and have experienced it within their own families. And so I know at times it doesn't seem like we're moving fast enough given the history of this country. And as I said last time, what I have tried to do to explain to people, and I'll just say it again, if you had a situation where you came and you heard that your family's home was taken, or your grandmother's home was taken, or your grandfather's business was taken, and there was no just compensation by the government, that would be something that you would live with for years, and it would be handed down. And it's something that is real, and it's still present in today's San Francisco, and there are people that were directly impacted by that. So we have a duty in this city to fix and work as hard as we can to make the right steps in the right direction. So I appreciate your leadership and your ability and maturity to rise above all this. And so if you haven't fast enough, I apologize on my own behalf, but I just want to say I appreciate the work that you're doing, and you're doing it for all of us. And so I'm happy to be a part of it in a small way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Clerk, with that, please open this item to public comment.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the public who wish to provide testimony on the continuance on this item and are joining us in person should line up now. For those who have joined us remotely and haven't already done so, press *3 if you wish to enter the speaker line. And for those already in the queue, please continue to wait until the system indicates you have been unmuted, and that'll be your signal to begin your comments. Please, and I'll start your time. Oh, hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, supervisors and Supervisor Walton, for putting this together. My name is Bobby Jones. I'm a native of San Francisco, also work in the financial district and live in Pacific Heights. I've been familiar with San Francisco racism since I had to go through the side door of the Olympic Club. I'm familiar with the racism of San Francisco in regards to housing, which still exists. So we need this task force. Do not put your heads down in the sand against this. Move forward with us as the Black community, move forward with the gay community, with the civil union, with the Asian community, with the Latin community. We've always stood and stand by misjustice and injustice and people who have acted wrong. We've been there for you. Now it's time for you to be there for us. Money is printed. So this is not an issue about money. The issue is, do you care about our community, and are you willing to stand with us and stand with Supervisor Walton and move forward with this task force and help us change San Francisco back to the diverse city that we are, together as one, fighting for civil rights for everyone. So this task force needs to happen. And thank you, Senator Walton. And I want to thank the NAACP and also San Francisco for addressing this.
Thank you much for addressing this committee. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Hello, my name is Leah McGeever. You have my the full version of this comment emailed to you. The enormous magnitude of reparations is going to take a lot of work, and so it's logical to create and fund an Office of Reparations dedicated to this sole task. Frankly, if you're not Black, I don't believe you should get to vote on this, but that's not the case. I leave you with an account from a formerly enslaved person. How much work is it going to take to calculate and distribute reparations for this? Why wouldn't you have dedicated staff to repair the generational torture and trauma from slavery? Not to mention the continued onslaughts of anti-Black racism in this country. Millie Ann Smith was born in 1850. I sought all day, hand in thread to my mammy to put in the loom because they give us homespun clothes, and you better keep them if you don't want to go naked. Massa had an overseer and a Black man driver called Jacob Green, and if a Black man was hard to make to do the right thing, they ties him to a tree, but Master George never whipped him too hard, just enough to make him behave. The slaves, what worked in the fields was woke up before lights with a horn and worked till dark, and then there was the stock to tend to and the cloth to weave. George Wood was the only one who could read and write, and how he learned, a little boy on the place to come up with him, and they goes off to the woods and he shows George how to read and write. Massa never did find out about that till after freedom. We slips off and have prayer, but daren't allow the white folks to know it, and sometimes we hums religious songs like Lo when we workin'. It was our way of praying to be free, but the white folks didn't know it. I remember my mammy used to sing like this. Am I born to die, to lay this body down? Must my trembling spirit fly into woods unknown, the land of deepest shade, only pierced by human thoughts? Thank you.
Thank you much, Leah McGeever. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, supervisors. I'm here today totally unprepared. This is Beverly Upton from the Domestic Violence Consortium. So many Black families have suffered in San Francisco as we looked away. Family violence, domestic violence, taking their houses, taking their land, taking their culture. We are in complete support of this, and we look forward to working with all the leaders in this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you much, Beverly Upton. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Charles James Riggs. I'm here to address this committee and express my gratitude for Proposition 13.
Thank you, Charles James Riggs. Next speaker, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Bill Tamayo. I'm a native of San Francisco and a resident, longtime resident. My family grew up in the Western Addition. So I was very much witness to the tearing down of a lot of homes of Japanese Americans, African Americans, to make way for the Geary Boulevard, to make way for a lot of other developments that were not consistent with preserving housing in that community. So I support having this task force and having this office opened up. I also am an attorney. I worked at the Asian Law Caucus when we were part of the team that overturned Fred Korematsu's conviction in 1983. Fred was convicted of violating the internment laws for Japanese Americans. That was signed in Executive Order 9066 was signed in 1942 by Franklin Roosevelt. Congress eventually held hearings knowing that this was a racial injustice, and in 1988, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act to grant reparations to Japanese Americans, and President Reagan signed it. So that's a matter of 46 years, they finally tried to right this wrong. The report that was submitted to the board details all these efforts to try to help with reparations. And now it's more than 70 years, 80 years, and what is taking so long for San Francisco? So I support having this office initiated and started so that we can have some concrete proposals or concrete action in reply to the report that was presented. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bill Tamayo.
Hi, Jennifer Friedenbach, Coalition on Homelessness. Also not prepared to speak, but just wanted to register Coalition on Homelessness's support for reparations. And, we see firsthand the impact of the legacy of slavery, the impact of racism, institutional racism on homelessness, both the disparate impact of evictions on African Americans, the disparate impact of gentrification, the loss of public housing units, the disinvestment in housing, the lack of access to jobs. I mean, it just, in so many different ways, I think for homelessness is sort of the visible effect of not correcting all these wrongs that have been sitting there so long. And so I also just want to give deep appreciation for Supervisor Walton for leading this. I know that when things affect you personally, it makes it even harder to go through these kinds of struggles, and to be up against so much and to have that just kind of hitting you in the face constantly can't be easy. So I just want to show my appreciation for that, and support for reparations. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Friedenbach. Seeing no other speakers here in the chamber, Mr. Hsu, do we have any speakers in the queue?
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Seeing no more public comments, public comment is now closed. And with that, a roll call on the motion proposed by Supervisor Walton, second by me.
On that motion by Member Walton, seconded by Chair Chan, that this ordinance be continued to the call of the chair. Vice Chair Mandelman. Mandelman absent. Member Safai.
Aye.
Safai, aye. Member Ronan. Ronan absent. Member Walton.
Aye.
Walton, aye. Chair Chan.
Aye.
Chan, aye. We have 3 ayes with Vice Chair Mandelman and Member Ronan absent.
Thank you, and the motion passes. And with that, Mr. Clerk, is there any further business before us?
Madam Chair, this concludes our business on this agenda.
Thank you. And with that, just a reminder that we will reconvene our recess budget and appropriation committee meeting from Monday, June 26th at 10 a.m. today. So we will all be back just in 8 minutes from now. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
SF Gov TV, San Francisco Government Television.
Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is about celebrating the culture and heritage of our community and affirming our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander diaspora.
It's about remembering and honoring the past leaders who paved the way for future generations. It's about celebrating culture.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but freed people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? Come on. You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations.
I had no idea that church I was running by every day was something my grandfather established.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million. And then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Overnight, it's like, oh, it's no longer the quarters, now it's Lincoln Heights. Oh, so now we get to use Abraham Lincoln for our name. And you think about all the other people that they could have used, but they picked Lincoln. And I think that's sort of a stereotypical of what they do.
There wasn't any black restaurants. As far as black business and weed, it wasn't nice.
Black people don't have that kind of leverage. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Why has it been easier for other groups than us?
Because of anti-black hatred.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room, don't tune in.